Hi, it's Beth at Majestic Cupcakery and this is my Mr. Potato Head from Toy Story tutorial. So we're going to start off by cutting around each layer of cake we have into a sort of bowling ball pin shape is the best way I can describe it. I'm not quite sure to be honest, but you get the idea. We're just going to repeat that for the other 3 layers. I'm using 2 7-inch cakes and 1 6-inch cake, but the 7-inch ones are quite thin because I didn't want to make too much height on the cake. I'm using the first layer as a template for the second layer, just to make sure it's even. Now, we're going in with a 6-inch cake. I'm not quite sure why I made it smaller. You could just use 3 7-inch cakes instead, but I like to make things hard for myself. By using the smaller cake, I did have to piece it together a bit so it all fit nicely instead of being able to just cut round the other layers as a template. So as you can see here, this is just me piecing it all together, trying to make it as even as I can. I'm just taking the cake off so I can put the buttercream inside. I'm going in with the buttercream. I have gone for a vanilla cake and vanilla buttercream because I'm quite boring and it's my favourite flavour. We're just applying an even layer up onto each cake, making sure it's all level, which helps when you're applying the fondant. Now I'm just carving the cake just to round off the edges. We want it to look more 3D and potato-like instead of just flat. I think it gives it a bit more character this way. Don't forget, all the ingredients and recipes are in the description below. Remember to take away and carve away cake from the underneath if that makes sense, so it curves all the way around instead of curving halfway then just stopping. Now I'm just doing the same on the other side, making sure I can get it as even and as I can. How many times can I say even? Now it's time to crumb coat. So basically we're doing this so it locks in any crumbs and we've got a smooth base to apply the fondant later. Just keep going with that until you're happy, which for me took a while. Let me just add, I did end up putting an extra layer of buttercream on the cake because I thought it looked a bit too thin and wanted it to have a bigger shape to it. That's why when you see it later it does look a bit bigger than it originally did. I ended up putting it in the fridge for half an hour, putting the next layer on, then put it back in the fridge for another half an hour until it was hard to the touch. So I'll be back once all that is done. We're just covering the cake in the fondant, smoothing it down and trying to avoid any cracks or lines in it. I just use my hands for this because it doesn't need to be too neat, but if you prefer to use a cake smoother, by all means you do that. If it looks like an egg at this point, you're probably doing it right. Just trim away the excess fondant to leave a crisp line. Now as you can see, I have marked the cake and it looks a little face-like. This was not intentional, but we're going with it. I'm making the nose by just moulding some fondant into a round ball, then tapering one edge so it's smaller. We're then going to press on the wider end to create the width of the nostrils and basically just keep shaping it until you think it's right. In Toy Story, which I'm pretty sure you all know because you'll have all seen it, Mr. Potato Head does have some removable features, and making the nose and other features big, it kind of represents that. If the nose doesn't stick, just add a bit of water. Using a tool, we can create nostrils in the nose, so it's not just one blob on the cake. For the eyes again, into a ball, then flatten it out. They're more oval than round, so just bear that in mind when you're making them. Then just press down into the cake with mark. I've just done the same for the other eye, making sure it looks symmetrical. Going in with some black fondant for the pupils, just rolling them into a ball. Easy enough really. Repeat on the other eye and then we're ready for the eyelids. Basically what I did was roll some fondant into a sausage shape and place at the top of the eye. Now for the eyebrows. Again, roll out some fondant into a sausage, but bigger because he has very bushy eyebrows, and then stick them on. Using this tool that I don't know the name of, create lines so they look less like slugs and more like cartoon eyebrows. For the mouth, I'm just rolling out some fondant and cutting into a half moon shape. I'm then getting some white fondant, rolling that out, cutting it into strips to lay over the black half moon shape. This is going to create teeth eventually, so lay them on and cut to shape. Now for the lip, I rolled out some fondant into a ball, then sausage shape, and laid over the mouth cut into size. I know what you're thinking, this looks weird, what is she even making? It doesn't look like Mr. Potato Head. But trust me, it will, you've just got to trust the process. For the moustache, all you've got to do is roll it out a bit, lay it onto your cake, create little lines in it so it's matching the eyebrows that you did earlier, and that's it really. We're now onto the feet. I've got some blue fondant that we're going to create into a ball shape and taper the back in. Remember to keep these big, they want to be flatter towards the front, then just add them to the cake. Get another tool that, again, don't know the name of it, I just call it a pointy thing, and create lines along the shoes. You want stripes around and upwards, create a sole-like look to them. The ears are next, but I accidentally forgot to film them because I'm a bit daft. But it's basically gum paste and fondant rolled into shape and detailed. I put these onto wooden sticks so I could secure it into the cake, as the weight of them would not stick. To make the arms, I rolled some fondant quite thin, then made a bigger ball, put into them to make fingers and secured on. I covered the seam from hand to arm with a bit of extra fondant to tie it all together. Finally, for the hat, you want to roll out a big ball of fondant into kinda like a half sphere shape. Now he looks like he's got a tennis ball on his head. We need to add the rim of the hat so it looks right. Just do this by getting more fondant, roll it fairly thickly and flatten it, and this should hopefully finish the cake off. So there you go, that's my Mr. Potato Head cake. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. I'll see you next week. Bye!